My name is Holly Mello, and I'm the TDM Program Manager at OmniRide. Thanks very much for joining us for this morning's Employer Council meeting. And first up, I think you all know, this call is being recorded, and the recording and the presentations given during this morning's meeting will be put on the OmniRide website under the Council's page, and I will put a link to that page in the chat. And I am going to turn things over to Joe Stainsby, OmniRide's Chief Development Officer, in just a minute. But first, I want to take us through our agenda for this morning. So after Joe, the first presenter is Russ Gestel, Principal at Buchanan Partners. Next up is going to be Joe and myself. And then the last presenter this morning is going to be Lisa K. Schweier from Foursquare. So thanks very much to all of our presenters. And with that, I'll turn things over to Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. Just very briefly, just want to welcome everybody to the fall edition, the winter edition, if you will, of the Employer Council meeting. It's one of the 3 mobility councils we have: Employer, Vanpool, and Hispanic. Hispanic was yesterday, so you missed out on that one. It was fantastic. These are all part of kind of the enhanced community outreach that OmniRide looked to do after its most recent round of strategic planning. One of the main things that came back was that we really needed to try and pivot from an agency that went from telling people what they wanted to listening to people and answering questions about what they said they actually wanted. And so these are integral parts of that community outreach that we do. So these are very much your councils. They are facilitated by us, but they are, in this case, places where employers can come to share ideas with each other, share ideas, with OmniRide, with the general public, whoever wants to be in attendance, and we are happy to facilitate those things. So please be an active participant, ask questions, tell your friends and neighbors about it so that they can be at the next one. And thank you all very much for being here with us today.
And with that, we're going to turn it over to Russ.
All right. I am going to, well, first I'll introduce myself. Hi, Russ Gestel. I'm a principal with Buchanan Partners. We are a local real estate development company based in Bethesda, Maryland. We are by far most active in Prince William County. Out of all of the jurisdictions where we are doing work, from Frederick County, Maryland, Montgomery County, Washington, D.C., Fairfax, and a little bit in Loudoun, not as much anymore, but Prince William, as you'll see here in a few minutes, is where we're most active. So Holly and Joe and I interact on a couple of our projects, which are on a lot of the routes that OmniRide serves, and we've done a few project proffers that facilitate transit stop, enclosures, bus stops, but trying to upgrade them a little bit with charging stations and some contributions towards, electric signage and or whatever makes sense. So we interact a lot, and whenever we are looking at a new project area, I touch base with Holly and see what's going on in the area from their perspective. So it's a good open line of communication. We are a development company that does all asset classes. We do everything except build homes. We do a lot of land, we do office, we do industrial, we do multifamily, and we do residential, we do retail, and we do residential land. So you will see some of that now. Just give you a little bit of a window into what we do and what we think we're going to do and how plans change and just what's going on in the county. Is that
That's perfect.
a fair statement there? Okay, let's see how this works. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So the title Holly gave us was Current and Future Prince William County Development Projects. Now, this is not everybody's. This just happens to be what we are working on. I'm going to first show you the area. Holly, you mentioned a few minutes ago, Haymarket. So this is Haymarket over here. We do have a project just north of Haymarket called Heathcote Marketplace. I'm going to show you. We have the Gainesville Crossing project on the eastern end of this slide, right at the intersection of interchange of 29 and 66 in Gainesville. And the longest running project we've been working on in Prince William County since the year 2000 has been the commercial component of Heritage Hunt. Those of you that know Heritage Hunt is the age-restricted community inside the gates. We partnered with them early on and bought them out in 2005 and all of the land outside the gates between 66 and Heathcote Boulevard. So just show you a little bit of some of the things that are going on in this area, and then we'll move south. The Gainesville Crossing development was 190 acres. That is, as I said, in between 29 and 66, and over to the Prince William Parkway interchange, and the property is bisected by University Boulevard, Conway Robinson to the north, Manassas Battlefield to the east, and then just to the west is the Heritage Hunt active adult community that in our stuff that I just mentioned. Gainesville Crossing, we initially envisioned it as a mixed-use community, well located, very visible. This was a long time ago, and the county's heads sort of exploded when we proposed this big mixed-use development here. And it was a time when residential development was not in vogue. Everybody was angry about residential development, and it was not in favor. And it was at the same time that a transmission line was being envisioned along Interstate 66. And it was also about the time that VDOT was baking its plans for the hot lanes on Interstate 66. You can see my cursor. This is 66 that runs along the bottom. And here's University Boulevard. Oops, here's University Boulevard, and here's the 66 Prince William Parkway interchange. So this plan, once the transmission lines came through, and VDOT, as a part of their Hot Lanes project, took 24 acres of our best land at the western edge here for the 2,500 car park and ride lot that you see out there now that you guys run, buses out, the Omni Ride buses out of. So here's a project that we envisioned. Here's what it turned into. Once the transmission lines came and nobody wanted residential, nobody wanted a lot of high traffic. There is no office market out here. So this part of the project we sold to a data center developer, is under development now. VDOT, as I said, took 24 acres of our land for the park and ride facility over there. So out of 190 acres, we were left with a little, little sliver. Hold on, why is that there? Little sliver on the south side of 66 here, where we did an industrial building, and the 16 acres on the north. So I thought this slide was interesting just to show how we like to think we know the market, we know Prince William County, and we work with all good people, from lenders and brokers and contractors. And sometimes what you think is going to happen doesn't happen. The 16 acres we're left with, which is adjacent to the park and ride, there's a Sheetz there now that's open and operating. We have a signed lease with Starbucks to do a freestanding Starbucks with drive-through. We have interest from Silver Diner to come here, and we've sold this site, and there will be a Marriott Town Place Suites that will be coming in here. We do have a pad site where there's daycare interest. So we sort of made the best we can out of a situation that really we couldn't control the power line stuff, the data center demand, and the park and ride taking. So that's sort of Gainesville Crossing. So Gainesville Crossing is over here. This is Heritage Hunt now that I showed you. 66 runs along the bottom of it, and Heathcote Boulevard runs in through it. the top of the page that's white here is inside the gates where the age restricted community is. So this is what we've been working on since 2000. So if you've been to Economic Development's office or Supervisor Weir's office, they are in this office building right here. You can see my cursor, right?
Yes.
Okay, is this building. When we got involved in this project, we envisioned this as an office park. We used to call ourselves an office park developer. Well, office parks are like a dirty word now. We are now buying office parks, tearing down buildings and doing mixed-use townhouse retail developments. So we have done 7 office buildings out here so far. The big one where Economic Development Supervisor Weir are, 2 smaller ones here and here, and then 4 little office medical condo buildings in the middle here. And I think we've pretty much played out the office market in this area. Along with that, we did the Harris Teeter Center at the west end and a 400-unit townhouse 2/2 development in here where we develop lots and sell to home builders. There's also nursing home, Goddard School, a daycare, sport and health, blah, blah, blah. There is an apartment building there we did not do. So where do we go from here? We don't want to do office, so we thought, maybe we should do more. This is the front end there. Here's where Economic Development Supervisor Weir are. Here's some of the other stuff. This is the gates to Heritage Hunt. We thought, maybe with the park and ride across the intersection and the traffic volumes at this intersection, maybe this would be a good place for a little bit of a retail component, maybe multifamily. Again, we thought we were moving in this direction. And then Innova came along. Innova is a tenant of ours in 2 or 3 of the buildings out there. They decided that they liked that site at the corner and they envisioned a building there. They explored all their view sheds of that building and they decided that this was a good place for a medical office and outpatient center in this area. And they closed earlier this year on the 10 acres at the front of that intersection, Heathcote Boulevard and Route 29 there. So something exciting happening out here. That is a good thing for the Heritage Hunt area, a good thing for this part of Prince William County. It's a 2-phase project where they'll do the medical office building and the services component. And I have seen plans where they envision a second building and structured parking. So that's what is one of the things that is going to be happening out in the Heritage Hunt area. At the western end, I mentioned Haymarket. So, here's eastern, and now we're sitting western here. This is Route 15. This is where Heathcote Boulevard, where the hospital is. There's 32 acres here that sat vacant, was rezoned in 1988, and it's been marketed forever. And they finally found someone stupid enough to buy this land, and it was us. So we call it, has it oriented correctly. Here's Route 15, here's Heathcote Boulevard. So we have about 16 acres on the north side of Heathcote, fronted on the east side of Old Carolina. And also we have a similar amount of acreage on the south side. And this is our plan for the project. We've already gotten special use permits approved for 3 retail pad sites on the north, Chase Bank, a tire and auto, and a car wash. On the south side will be the first Sprouts Farm Market coming to Prince William County, and a Wawa and a little inline retail center with Chipotle and Panera. We also have an active zoning application in for a townhouse and 2/2 development in this area. And I want to go back 1 click because this is the road to the park and ride that that Omni Ride Services is right here, the 1566 park and ride, and the VDOT access road to that park and ride comes through our project. So this is one we talk, that is this road that goes back to the park and ride. And so, a good location for these kinds of residential uses, proximate to that, give people those other commuting options. So down in innovation area, there is a lot going on. We've developed 4 commercial buildings here, an office building and 3 flex buildings. We were the first developer to talk the county into allowing multi-tenant buildings at innovation. Up until then, they only wanted users who would just, like ATCC or, the FBI, full building users. And we said, you're missing a big part of the market. There's a lot of small companies that want to be close to, George Mason's campus and or some of the other employers that you do have there. So our buildings here are multi-tenant buildings that, facilitate that. Stanley Martin Homes and Kistler Development are doing Innovation Town Center that is now under construction right up here at University Boulevard and Prince William Parkway, if you're familiar with that. At a point in our history out here, we had acquired the 117 acres that you see at the bottom of the page here, which was the old Eli Lilly. This was going to be an insulin plant. And when they mothballed that and it sat for 10 years, we bought the property from them. We again envisioned a mixed use development in this area. The county was a little bit concerned, thought it would take the wind out of the sails of the future town center. But, we showed them projects in co-located in Montgomery County in areas where one, helps the other by there's more there. This was our vision for it. County wasn't too wild about it again. And this is how it ended up. Again, data center was by right. And, no matter how good your dream or your vision is if the market or the politics or is not going to be the supportive thing, there's always alternative uses. So that's the innovation area. If you go further south, so here is that innovation area. Those are the data centers that are on that piece now. This is the 28 Prince William Parkway interchange. Here's where Two Silos Black Sheep is. If you can continue south on Prince William Parkway and you get down to where Dumfries Road ties in, here's the county fairgrounds. Our newest project is we have 60 acres right here that we are in the planning process. This is the new Brentsville interchange. Now, I did talk to Holly and Joe already. You don't really have much service in this area. There's a lot of green down here, but you can see, here's Manassas, and you can see the growth that has come down to this area. We're filling in the last little bit of it there, but it will be interesting to see, what goes beyond here. The county has a new comprehensive plan that has inserted a little bit more flexibility, but this is the newest one that we are planning in this area. There is I mentioned earlier, residential was not in vogue for a long time, but the entire nation, the entire region, and even Prince William County have come to the realization that the residential market, the supply has so the demand has so outpaced supply. Residential has been underbuilding typical trends since 2006, 2007 downturn. And now there is such pent-up demand, right as the millennials are finally launching and buying, and even the next tier generation. But that's why residential prices are so crazy right now. There is just not enough supply, and existing resale supply is also not materializing because people don't want to give up their low interest mortgage and go to a higher rate mortgage. So there's a lot of dynamics going on. We are actually buying office buildings, as I said earlier, tearing them down to do residential. The office is so out of demand and residential so in demand. Looking at Manassas, this has a Manassas address, but it's back up on 66 and Sudley Road. The Park Ridge Shopping Center is there. That's basically surrounded on 2 sides by the battlefield and by 66 and 234 on the other two sides. The Park Ridge Shopping Center. Now, this is an area that OmniRide does have a lot of service to. The NVCC campuses here are now Nova and Battlefield Business Park here that has hotels, some amenities, and some employment in here. But this is where retail wants to be, not isolated on the other side of a major corridor like this. The Park Ridge Shopping Center has been failing. We bought it a few years ago. This is where it is, again, Battlefield and the 66 interchange. You may notice the Regal Theaters there. There's DMV there, Kohl's, Old Navy's, but the shopping center is in decline, and these are the vacancies that are in place today. Can't survive with something like this. If you like the movie theater, you can drive out and take another look at it, because in January it will likely be gone. We rezoned this 2 years ago to a project like this that keeps the retail component in the middle, DMV, Duluth, Kohl's, Old Navy, and 2 phases of residential infill development. The first phase has been sold to Hines Development out of Texas, and they are have site plans in for approval. And as I said, we'll be demolishing the movie theater within the next few months. But anyway, that's Park Ridge. These are the kinds of, I showed you projects where we thought we were going to do residential, and it ends up going data center. Here's an area that's retail and that wants to be residential. There wants to be a mix of uses, or at least a residential use. And I mentioned we're tearing down office buildings to do residential. It's just a crazy world. There's a rendering of what would be there. Good relationship with the Battlefield, but anybody would rather see something that fills a need in the market rather than vacant storefronts that are sort of racing each other to the bottom. A little further south in Manassas proper, this is really down across from the 28 Prince William Parkway interchange, just south of Innovation, which we looked at earlier. I probably should have had this slide there. This is land on the southeast quadrant of that interchange that is in the city of Manassas. You cross 28 and you're in the county. But this is land that was owned by Manassas City, and we partnered with them to do, again, a 275 unit townhouse 2/2 development that has been built out. And this is where the True Hotel there is, and a small office building that we developed that is where the Chamber has their offices now. And we have the rest of the land under contract to be taken down incrementally with the city, from the city. They have the ability to sell to others too, but as a part of our development with the residential, we treat it as a residential cost, all of the infrastructure to make the commercial part of the project viable, water and sewer lines, stormwater lines, and the road network in through that area. And so it is, this is the master plan for the project showing the residential. There's the old DMV building that the city now owns, is planned as a future apartment building project. First hotel is here, first office building here. We do own this land here now. We've had, 3 tries at getting an anchor in there, and they all 3 have evaporated. There's recently been talk about doing multifamily there, but that's sort of in that mid-county area. Moving further south and east, Woodbridge. This is our Courts District project. This is Prince William Parkway, about 3 miles west of 95, which is off the page to the right here. And this is Minnieville Road. I mean, this is a very unusual circumstance here where you see this kind of development all of around it and a key piece of property like this undeveloped. We were lucky enough to partner with the Phelps family, and we rezoned our Courts District project there for the land, 140 acres on the west side of the parkway, a few years ago, and broke ground a few weeks ago. So The project is envisioned as an urban district and a neighborhood district, two different levels of density and architecture. And we also dedicate an 18-acre school park site in the middle of the project. We're also funding the design of a major intersection upgrade, actually converting the Minnieville-Prince William Parkway intersection into an interchange, not big clover leaves like we saw up on 66 and 29 up there, or at 28 in the Parkway. This is called a single point urban interchange. And what it actually does is it will redesign it so that the Parkway will go under Minnieville. I'll show you some graphics in a little bit. So this sort of shows where the school park site would be and how that urban area is, which will have multifamily, the first Whole Foods in Prince William County, 3 office buildings and additional retail, mostly experiential type retail, food and activity-based stuff, not a lot of soft goods. There is an awful lot of retail in this area already. That's where all your soft goods and things like that will be. This will be more the fun kind of retail, and also some denser urban residential development in this area. That's the overall rendering of the project. We do have another 40 acres on the east side of the Parkway in that area that we will likely rezone, submit in 2025. And we envision a build to rent townhouse community over there where people who don't want to buy or can't buy yet, but don't want to be, have only as their only housing option a rental apartment. This would be, rental townhouses that would be institutionally owned and managed, and give people that different type of rental option. This is how the interchange will work. Right now, Minnieville and Prince William Parkway is all at grade. This is a rendering of what it'll look like afterwards when the Parkway will go under Minnieville. And that would be Whole Foods on the far side of the interchange there. Another aerial view. If you drive that, so Minnieville and all of the movements will still be at grade, but a failing intersection, because there's so many cars on the Parkway, you have to keep stopping all the other traffic. This takes the through traffic of the Parkway out of the mix, and all of the green time that would be given to the Parkway through movement is now available. All that green time can be distributed to the other movements, and it takes a failing intersection and gets it back to a level of service A or B, depending on the time of day. So mixed use, when you have these kind of traffic volumes and you have a good anchor like Whole Foods, you can attract good uses. The interchange construction is underway now in the right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation stage. The actual digging and construction on the interchange will not start until December of 25, be completed December of 27. Whole Foods will not come till the interchange is done. So these things take a long time, but hopefully it is worth the wait. If you go a little further east, we have another project that is in the very early stages called Quantico Creek Landing. We're partnering with JR Real Estate Group. And if you know this area, this is where Supervisor Bailey's office is. I have a vicinity map next. So this is where Dumfries Road intersects with I-95 down in Dumfries. And some of the Prince William Forest Park is down there, and Potomac Shores and some of those things. But in this area, there's a need for, again, residential in this area, and we're going to do another build to rent townhouse community here. So again, some existing employment uses and medical uses in this area. There's a hotel here, but the rest of this property has sort of been just neglected over the years and dumped bad soils there. And again, they found a bunch of crazy people who are willing to buy it and fix all those things. And we think of location again for that type of housing. So I think that's the last slide, and be glad to answer any questions if there are questions.
Thank you so much, Russ. I'm going to have Kim go ahead and load up Joe's and my slides. And if we can table questions till the end, that would be great. We'll just, if you can stick around till the end, then we'll do questions then. So we'll
Very
give
good.
Kim just a second. Thank you so much. That was a lot of interesting stuff. Every time you present, there's more details and more projects that you're working on. So thank you so much for that update.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
All right, moving on. Thank you so much. I'm going to take just a few minutes to talk about the TDM programs that I manage at OmniRide. And for those folks that don't know, TDM stands for Transportation Demand Management, and that is the science behind getting cars off the road. And transportation options like bus and rail do a great job of getting cars off the road. But my team and I also promote things like carpooling and vanpooling, and telework, and alternative work schedules, and biking and walking. And our carpool and vanpool matching program is called OmniRide Ride Sharing, and it's a free service for the residents and the employers in Prince William County. You can request a ride match through the OmniRide website by filling out a match request form, or you can also fill out a ride sharing application at the Commuter Connections website. And my teammate and I, Lakeisha Lewis and I, mostly Lakeisha, she provides each applicant with a personalized transit itinerary that includes a list of potential carpool and vanpool prospects, as well as detailed information regarding their transportation options to include bus, rail, and metro. And believe it or not, we do have employers in Prince William County, such as GMU, Quantico, and Moodell Electronics, who provide a transit benefit to their employees and who do have van pools going to their locations. We promote the ride sharing program at transit fairs, at employment centers outside of the county, such as the Pentagon and the Mark Center and the Navy Yard, but also at more local events and locations, such as the Manassas Farmers Market, Chamber of Commerce sponsored events, and then also at transit fairs sponsored by Prince William County employers, such as the GMU SciTech campus. And if vanpooling is something that you think your employees might be interested in, please do reach out to me. We would love to work with you to explore how we might be able to get some vanpools started at your organization. Next slide, Kim. So moving on to the employer outreach program, this is a VDOT grant funded program, and it includes things such as emergency preparedness, carpool and vanpool formation assistance, formalizing telework programs, biking and walking to work, alternative work schedules, and employee commute surveys. And we work directly with employers in Prince William County, Manassas, and Manassas Park to create and expand commuter benefits programs. And we found that by working directly with employers, we can really help their staff members improve their quality of life while at work and on the road. The OmniRide Employer Services Program helps contribute to healthy workforce development in Prince William County by helping companies offer high-value competitive benefits packages that attract and keep top talent. And the OmniRide employer services that you see on the screen, they're free for all businesses in Prince William County, Manassas, and Manassas Park. And we promote them through one-on-one meetings with HR, lunch and learn sessions with larger groups, vanpool formation meetings, health and wellness fairs, transit fairs, Earth Day events, as well as employee benefit fairs. And some examples of employer activities that I have done already with some of the Prince William County employers that we work with would include Earth Day events at Lockheed Martin, benefits fairs at Micron, transit fairs at the GMU SciTech campus in Manassas, lobby tabletops at commercial buildings that have multiple tenants, as well as community engagement events hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, such as their Economic Development Event Series. And I'll end by saying that we would love to come to meetings that you're holding with your constituents or your customers, employees, or residents to talk about the OmniRide TDM programs and to listen to what people want to share with us. Please reach out to me with any questions you may have or with future engagement opportunities. and I'll turn it over to Joe.
All right. Thank you, Holly. Next slide, please, Kim. So as you've heard from Russ, and as you will hear from Lisa, transit and employers that's a key relationship. Russ is focused a lot now on transit orientated development, and we wish that more developers were interested in getting involved in transit at the proffer stage before things are built. So often transit is an afterthought, right? And we really strive to, it's one of those situations where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So much better to get in on the ground floor and have transit be thought of. So, you can have townhouses that only have one car garage because it's right next to a bus route. So the family that live there might not have to have two cars. It's proximity to a university park and ride lot that Russ was talking about, all of that good stuff. And so part of that is that OmniRide is heavily engaged with the Prince William County Chamber of Commerce and their programs that they run through Leadership Prince William, right? That is something that almost 10% of OmniRide staff have been through, and it's predominantly a networking and community awareness focused thing. And their signature program runs a year. I'm currently into it. I'm currently in it rather. It allows us to build relationships with other companies in Prince William County, chances to become aware of what's going on where. And as you just saw from Russ, there's a lot going on all over the bloody place, right? And so we can speak to employers about, what benefits they can offer to their employees. Potentially, we could maybe run a transit route there. And, if you have a conversation with me about running a transit route, you show me the demand, and in 5 years, you might have a transit route. But everyone seems to think that it's going to happen at the drop of a hat, and it just doesn't, for planning or financial purposes or anything like that, right? And so we really want to recognize, a lot of the work that these employers do. And again, you'll hear more about that from Lisa. Next slide, please, Kim. So I think the next slide just has a couple of places just to illustrate, and the Rose, the gaming resort, which you see on the side of 95 in Dumfries, which was actually highlighted on a slide that Russ had earlier, talking about development going on in that area. We work with places like the Rose. We currently are to look at ways to get their employees, and to a slightly less important degree, those people who actually want to go to the Rose as customers, to that facility. Because if you haven't been there, you should go check it out. But it's very much set back from Route 1. We have a bus stop down on Route 1, but it's about half a mile to 3/4 of a mile up a winding hill that sucks. And so, if you are someone who works there, and there are hundreds of people that work there that would be potential candidates for local buses, you maybe want to have that. But we need to think about putting that in there, because if you are on the local bus that technically goes past the Rose, it's a significant deviation into the Rose because of how set back it is from Route 1. Everybody wants to have the privacy and the peace and quiet and this, that, and the other. It's the same reason that people love living in cul-de-sacs, and the same reason that people who work in transit hate cul-de-sacs, right? Because there's no way for a bus to get in or out. Right, so you have to go out to the main arterial to get the bus, and then everybody complains that the bus stop is too far from where they live, right? So there are these competing priorities here, but we're working with the Rose right now to try and bring some relief to them in the near term. And then also down here we have CASA, which is another organization that we work with in Prince William County. They're headquartered over by the CarMax off Prince William Parkway in Woodbridge. And we, there's kind of a symbiotic relationship there. We support their, apologies, my phone rang, I should have muted that. We support their community events by talking about what bus services we have, promoting our microtransit, promoting all of our ride matching services that Holly's just talked about, that are all free and very useful for people who would avail themselves of CASA services. And I work at OmniRide, as you know, right? And OmniRide is powered by Keolis, which is a transit organization that employs directly all of our operators. And the vast majority of them do not have English as their native mother tongue, right? We have a lot of Spanish speakers, a lot of people from West Africa as well that might speak French or something like that. And, CASA has worked with us to kind of create a dedicated training platform for operators in Spanish so that they can have transit orientated language that they can use with our passengers so that ultimately they can keep their jobs. Because one of the key things that we lose operators over is their inability to talk to the passengers, right? They can drive the bus just fine, right? But the passengers aren't rocks. So you've got to be able to actually communicate with them. And that is a major way that we lose operators. And again, as an ancillary issue, as anybody on the call who knows, as an employer, finding hard people is good. Keeping them is bloody impossible these days. And so we do not want to lose operators because they have inadequate English skills, and certainly working with places like CASA can really kind of help us out and also help them fulfill their mission. That is what they are there to do. So I just wanted to mention the Rose as two examples of places that we work with employer relationships, and we are always open to do that. Next slide, please, Kim. I think it just has our contact information on it. I'm sure there isn't anybody on this call that doesn't have Holly's, but now you have mine. And so if you can't reach her, you can reach me. And so we're happy to help you with anything, and certainly about some of the stuff that Lisa's going to talk to you about right now. So I'll turn it over to Lisa, and Kim, you can stop sharing.
Well, hello. My name is Lisa Kay, and I am honored to be here today. I'm part of a team that's been helping Joe and Holly and Lakeisha and the rest of the OmniRide staff to put together and launch the Best Workplaces for Commuters program. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I think my slides are right behind your slides, so I don't know if you want to put those back up. Or did you want me to put them up, Holly?
Oh, if you will share yours, yes, that would be great.
Okay, I will do that. And then while I get those up and ready, what I'd like to do is to learn a little bit about the people that are in the room. And I know that trying to do introductions on Zoom or any virtual meeting is just really difficult. So I thought maybe we could use the chat function. If you could put your name and organization in chat and include one word that your employees would use to describe their commute. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to do that. Painful, horrible. Oh my goodness. Long. Waste of time. Oh my goodness. Stressful. Local. Okay. So number one, thank you for adding those, and I'm sure people will keep adding them, but some of the words, it kind of makes me cringe. Russ was talking about for us all the development that's going in, the buildings, the residential units. Joe and Holly were talking about the ride sharing program and the efforts that are happening through OmniRide. And one of the things that, in all of this discussion, it's about moving people and how we get people, either customers to the stores, residents to their homes, employees to their work sites. And one of the things that we're trying to do is to figure out ways to be able to reward employers who are already doing a lot to help their employees get to their sites. So, what is the Best Workplaces for Commuters? Has anybody ever heard of this before? Joe, I'm surprised. Wow, Holly, okay. So Best Workplaces for Commuters is a national program. It's been around for over 20 years. Okay, we see, yes, okay, good. So feel free to chime in if I miss anything, those of you who are familiar. But Best Workplaces for Commuters has been around for over 20 years. And it is a program that rewards employers for being able to show what they do for their employees and helping them get to work. OmniRide about a year ago started talking about, well, how can we leverage this program and to be able to recognize our regional employers? And so last year we embarked on a project to be able to help support that effort. And we actually were able to launch the OmniRide Best Workplaces for Commuters program. Some of you may have heard about this already. And the local program is designed to help all of the employers who would like to apply to actually get their applications in, to be able to learn more about the best workplaces for commuters, their requirements, and to help work through that process. So some people may say, why? Why do I want to be a best workplaces for commuters? You all are doing good work. You're here. You're interested in wanting to know what is happening in the community. Really, what the Best Workplaces for Commuters does is differentiates you as an employer who is putting programs out to support the employees so that we don't end up with employees who say, my commute is inconvenient, too many delays. Wait, Christine, you said it's pretty easy, so that's good. Okay, we want to keep that going. So we want to be able to make the experience more positive for the employees, which ultimately will end up helping with the transportation efforts throughout the region. If we have more people using different ways to get to work other than driving in their own vehicle, we're reducing the number of vehicles on the road as well and helping with congestion regionally. So the Best Workplaces for Commuters has a lot of different member benefits, which is a kind of a nice perk of being able to become a member. The number one is that they are nationally known. They're putting out national lists of all the businesses who are involved. So there's a lot of recognition that happens for employers who are recognized as best workplaces for commuters. There's a lot of different resources. There's materials, there's logos, there's webinars, there's learning opportunities. But probably the one that I like most is what we're doing here today, which is being able to learn from each other and having a network with peers and experts in the field to learn more about how to make things work within your work site. The Best Workplace for Commuters program has 3 different types of membership, and they are designed to hopefully capture every type of employer. There is I'm going to start with the universities on the right-hand side, which are higher education. The best sites, which is what we were talking about earlier, and Russ was talking about with commercial and retail developers, malls, business campuses, and then employers. So pretty much all other employers who are outside of the university or a site type setting. So how employers qualify, and I know there's a lot of information here on the screen. We're happy to share these slides if anybody would like a copy of them. I am not going to read all of this. I'm just going to say most of what you're already doing is going to be on one of these lists. And the entire purpose of the way that this program has been developed is to provide support to help walk you through these lists and to look at what you're doing and figure out how it can be applied to qualify you for this certification. We're here to help. As Holly and Joe talked about, the ride sharing program that OmniRide has is already doing a lot of outreach with employers, providing these resources. And this is really a way to help kind of take you across the finish line in terms of the best workplace for commuters, just to be continually supported throughout the process. Of course, there's a schedule and there's deadlines because that's just kind of how things go. But one of the things that we want to make sure that you know is that you can apply anytime. This does not have to be done at one point or another. The only thing that would be impacted is the time that you would end up on the list. So if it's after a certain deadline, it may put you on the next year's list. Typically, if the applications get in by November, then the folks that are able to be recognized are recognized in January. So it only takes a couple weeks to get approved and to show up on the list. And we have congratulations in order because we have an example. OmniRide not only decided to promote this program, but decided to apply themselves to be a best workplace for commuters. And I don't think I can work all my emojis and have my little sparklers go off, but yay. So in September, OmniRide was rewarded and they have their designation. And in January, there will be a national presentation where they will be recognized. And the way that they were able to get this award was because of their telework program, their rideshare matching that they offer, bike parking, the on-site showers and lockers, and the preferred carpool parking. And the pictures, you get to see the showers and the lockers that are available. So thanks for providing those pictures. So if you're interested in learning more about best workplaces for commuters, or if you have ideas on where we might be able to share this information, or if there's associations that might help us get this information out, please let us know. Holly is your contact person to be able to do that. And if anybody has any other questions, I'd be happy to take those. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. And I know that Russ is still there and Joe and I are still here. So if anyone has questions for any one of us, please just go ahead and unmute and ask it, or feel free to put it in the chat and I will read it out.
So Russ, I actually have a question for you. Because, and so I guess answer this in as non-controversial way as possible, but I couldn't let it go. The university stuff, you did keep referring to the fact, the development that has happened there, that maybe you guys weren't super pumped about it, and that maybe some of the VDOT maybe took some of the land. Is there some kind of eminent domain stuff that went on here? Or because you said that it was not ultimately some of it, the development that you guys would have wanted. I'm just curious as to how that happens.
Yes, it was a taking. So, I mean, the Hot Lanes project, Transform 66, was a major, public-private partnership. It was built by a Spanish company, and but with VDOT as a partner, and VDOT, has the ability to take property. So we knew that was in the mix, and we like to engage early and often, and hopefully we can come up with a better result. They initially wanted to take those last 16 acres. They had an incorrect wetlands delineation. So we had to take 6 months and argue whether our wetlands delineation was correct or theirs was. And so ultimately we convinced them to not take that last 16 acres, which was very beneficial for us. The other 24 acres that they did take, they undercompensated us. They basically paid us about a third of what we paid for the property when we partnered with the family. And then you have to file suit to go and get the correct amount. So we ultimately got them up to the value that we paid. I mean, it seems like it should be criminal. And so we got them back up basically to the value we paid. But then 25% of what we got, we have to give to the condemnation attorneys. So we lose, it's a lose-lose. But so any rate, it's, you know, but, you know, on the other hand, you know, are some of the uses that we have there more viable because of the park and ride? Maybe. So,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. yeah, it's wasn't fun.
Any other questions from folks? All right, I waited the 5 seconds. No one raised their hand. So it looks like we're going to be giving people 4 minutes back in their day, which is awesome. But I did just want to take one more second and thank the presenters. We really appreciate your support. And I wish everybody happy holidays and hope that we see one another very soon in 2025.
Same.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.